Hello everyone, I'm Felix Gontier, and this is a short overview of our paper on automated audio captioning by fine-tuning BART with AudioSet tags. Audio captioning is a recent task of describing audio clips using fluent English language. This is typically done with encoder-decoder models, with the first part encoding audio features or pre-trained embeddings, and the second part decoding these representations into captions. Recent studies have also found that providing the model with text information in addition to audio embeddings is helpful, for example, with keywords or similar captions, because this type of conditioning contains specific semantic information and, in some cases, vocabulary guidance that is useful for the model to generate captions. Our study is based on two observations in the state of the art. First, that the language modeling part of captioning system is often trained from scratch. And second, that the conditioning text is always inferred from dedicated modules that are also trained on the captioning datasets. And depending on the performance of these dedicated modules, this can be a very limiting factor to the overall caption quality. So the two hypotheses that we wanted to test in this study were firstly whether the rich knowledge that is present in large-scale language model from the NLP community could be transferred to the captioning task. And second, whether these dedicated modules for inferring text conditioning could be replaced as well with fully pre-trained models. So to test this hypothesis, we formulate the problem of captioning as a transfer learning problem from a large-scale language model. In this case, we choose BART, which is a transformer encoder-decoder architecture with a very standard generic pre-training scheme of text denoising. And the proposed approach is very simply to fully fine-tune the BART architecture in the context of audio captioning, so with multimodal inputs composed of both audio and text embeddings. In the case of, in terms of audio embeddings, we consider both VGGH and PAN as two tagging models pre-trained on AudioSet. But which provide very different temporal granularities as well as different information contents. As for text embeddings, we choose to use YAMNet, which is a third tagging model trained on AudioSet, and which outputs a closed vocabulary of 521 different AudioSet tags. And then the conditioning input to our captioning system is simply a linear combination of these audio and text embeddings. So we can first evaluate different combinations of embeddings, audio and text. We do these evaluations on audio caps, which is a subset of AudioSet. And in doing so, we ensure that the audio is in domain with respect to the tagging systems, and that we are in the best case scenario in terms of sound object recognition. So the best combination that we obtain is that of PAN embeddings and YAMNet text embeddings, which is consistent with the literature, as PAN were consistently found to outperform VGGH. The best model is also on par with the state of the art, or slightly better, although there is still a large gap between the model and the human performance, which is measured here with the cross-validation over the reference captions. We did some complementary experiments to assess the influence of the design of the BART architecture, so the architecture itself, its capacity, and the pre-training. And we found that the BART pre-training was not very important, where fully fine-tuning the model was possible. However, in the case where there's not enough data and fully fine-tuning the BART model is not feasible, the BART decoder, pre-trained decoder, is already a very good initialization and already models well caption structure, and so it can be used to reduce the learn the number of learned parameters and still retain high caption quality. As a second experiment, we reduced significantly the model complexity, capacity, and we found that this had little impact on the quality of generated captions, and we hypothesize that this is due to very low complexity in terms of caption structure and caption vocabulary, and so these captions are relatively easy to model compared to the text in the pre-training objective of BART. So the main findings of this study was that off-the-shelf audio tagging can effectively replace dedicated text conditioning inference modules, even when there is a mismatch between the vocabulary of the pre-trained model and that found in existing captions of the dataset. And text-only pre-training is relevant to captioning, but is highly dependent on the quantity of available data that we have at disposal. In terms of future work, we will mainly work on the generalization capabilities of this system, with first the transition to out-of-domain audio. So here we only focused on in-domain audio, which is not necessarily the case of other datasets. Also, we will focus on the impact of potential bias in the caption annotation process, which can be learned by such large architectures such as BART. And finally, we'll work on better using the language pre-training with an objective to be able to do future learning in the future. So this is it for this presentation. Thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to discussing more with you at the virtual poster session, and our paper will be presented in the session B. Thank you.